Hey, 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 what up, what up, what up? It's Arona, aka Cinematic Cisse, and today I'm talking about The Conversation. Not the film The Conversation, I have yet to see it, but I'll check it out. In movies and in TV, one thing that sets things off is a conversation. I know some conversations are boring, but then there's some films, a conversation is everything. A conversation can be tense, the conversation can break down and just tell you what the whole film's about and what happened. Before Satan attacked Job, what did he had to have a conversation with God? So before things go on, a conversation must take place, especially even in a film. Like for example, in Training Day, when Hoyt went to Smiley's hood, that one scene alone, what broke down what the whole film's about and what was it centered around? A conversation. Don't get me wrong, dialogue can kill a film. I know I've said that before, but then there's films that the conversation, the dialogue is everything. There's clips out there where the conversation pieces have millions of views because it's interesting. The camera angles, the music, the moves, the lighting, the coloring, everything about it. Mob movies are pretty good for conversations. The Law and Order, all those things are pretty great pieces for conversation. So when you're writing a film, act like you're there in that scene and you're one of the characters, or you're sitting at the table and you're having a conversation with the protagonist, antagonist, whoever it is. Put yourself there and it will seem more real. Just like anytime I watch a movie, especially in theaters, I act like I'm part of the action. And it feels so intense. It's like, well, that's cool. That's what's cool about like 3D and all that stuff. But like I said, when you put yourself in the script, when you're writing the conversation, it becomes more personal. You do when you write, you have to take this pretty personal because it's a script and you're writing it to the actors. And actors, when you're having a conversation in your whatever it is project you're doing, act like you're really doing that in real life. Don't worry about the camera. Don't worry about the director. Don't worry about lighting. They got all that. You focus on your scene, and at that point, you're not acting. You're really in that situation. You're that character, and you're having that conversation. Even before you start to act, one thing to do is to stay at home. And I know this sounds a little bizarre. Have an imaginary conversation using those lines. All the lines you learn, and act like you're really there. And like I said, become that person having that conversation. Then once people see it on the screen, they'll say, hey, that looked real. Were you really acting? And you weren't even acting. You were just being that character. You're acting without acting, like Bruce said, fighting without fighting. And directors, when you're directing, just watch their conversation like you would watch someone, like you're eavesdropping. I don't mean don't make corrections, but think of it as eavesdropping. You're having an interesting conversation and you're listening to an interesting conversation. So don't sit there and think, I'm just doing my job. No, you're not just doing your job. You're becoming those people. You're not who you are. I'm not saying this like in a split personality way. I'm saying this in a sense of just making it real, making it convincing. Because one thing about today's audience is they're not as gullible as they used to be. People pick up on stuff real quick, and one thing people love is reality. I know I love reality. I want to see some real life, not acting, real life. That's who you are. That's who you're becoming in those conversations, whether it's an argument, a dinner conversation, you're in bed, whatever you're doing, that's exactly what you're doing in real life. And just like I said, practice. When you're a tip for actors, when you're going throughout your day, practice being those people. If you have an accent, if you're playing a biography, if you're doing something different, or just act like that person. Pull up at McDonald's or whatever drive-through, Walmart, when you're at your family's crib, or just go out in public and act like those characters. I'm not saying act like, commit crimes and act crazy. I'm saying be those characters. So once you start acting, you'll already have it down. You've practiced already. It's just natural to you. And the whole project will be run way smoother. And like I said, writers, write an interesting conversation that you'll see yourself in, even and kind of include your own opinions and things, unless it's a biopic. Besides that, when you're writing something, put your opinions, put your emotional content in there, and it will become real. And people will be like, hey, that seems real because it was something you've been through, something you've seen, something you've experienced. And trust me, the audience will love it, and they can't even tell. We banging.